Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are so excited to have Jenn Jolley with us, one of the amazing composers featured in our new album, Imaginary Folk Songs. Jenn, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on the Grammy nomination. That's amazing.
Thank you. I actually realized they changed the rules this year where I'm technically a participant, but I'm still going to go to LA and I'm still going to participate and I'm going to go to all the pre-parties. But thank you.
Yay.
It's so excited about this. Beyond the
Yeah,
moon.
I just listened to the recording a little while ago. It's really a stunning album.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So you wrote this wonderful piece, Lilac Tears, which was a huge hit when we took this on tour. And actually, you were the only composer that got to hear us play it live on tour, which was really fun. And thank you so much for coming out to that concert.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Such a great, yeah.
It was very special for us. I just remember if it's okay, I'd like to recount the story because I think it's hilarious. So Jennifer, you came to the venue, and I was outside waiting for another friend, and then we made eye contact, and I was like, why? Am I that special? And then and then
Yes,
um
you
and
are.
then you and then I was like hello, and then you checked in, you said or they asked your name, you said Jennifer Jolly, and I was like, oh, what? I know that name. We're performing that name. And
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
and then you walked in, and I was like, I have to tell Andrew. So then I walked up to Andrew and I said, I think that's Jennifer Jolly. And then Andrew's like, huh? And I said, yeah, right there. And then I just brazenly walked up to you and I said, excuse me for eavesdropping. Did you say your name is Jennifer Jolly? I love it.
No, it was such a great experience. I think I probably saw an advert on Barge Music. No, I think it was like Steven. Steven
Oh,
was advertising the show and he's like, and I think he messaged me on Instagram saying, "You're on the show." I'm like, "That's amazing." And I'm like, "Oh, it's in New York." And even though I trekked all the way to Brooklyn, so for those outside of New York City, so the Bronx is up here and Brooklyn is like a
way
lot,
back.
but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make an evening out of it. Like Barge Music has some amazing concerts, and I told my husband, I'm like, let's go. And so I surprised you all. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful concert that my husband still talks about because
Oh,
the whole
awesome.
program was just perfect. And my contribution just made a better concert. You guys were wonderful. I loved your interpretation. Just everything was actually very magical about that evening.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, this program, it when it all came together, we were just so thrilled with it. Like just the like a lot of living composers, but everything just flowed really, really well. This idea of folk songs on saxophone and piano just ended up gelling really nicely. So that's why we wanted to record it. It was just such a fun experience. I think we did like 15 concerts, maybe. I forget the exact number.
At least.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so much fun. So, what I'd like to do today, if you don't mind talking about the piece, how you kind of came up with it, you wrote it for the great Tim McAllister. If you could talk a little bit about that, and then we'll do a live listening here.
Sounds great. So, as you mentioned, Tim contacted me saying, "Hi, I've been doing these encore pieces, and we're doing the second round, and was wondering if you would like to write one for me." I'm like, "Of course," simultaneously going like, "I can't mess this up because it's Tim McAllister. What do I even do? Like, what's an encore piece? Like, how showy does it go?" I actually remember Zooming with Rashan Edistasi because she had a question, like a composition question for me. And I was like, hey, so not to assume that you know much about Tim McAllister, but you kind of live with him and you're kind of married to him. But like, what kind of encore piece does he get? Like, is there any preference? She's like, he gets all different kinds. I'm thinking, well, this is definitely helpful. It's not, but that's okay. And I was thinking, I started going around the whole like kind of like the amuse bouche, the type of like nice quiet but lovely type of encore that I was going to write for Tim McAllister because I'm a pianist by trade, although I don't really practice anymore because I paint my nails. But one thing I've noticed after piano concertos is you might hear like a nice Schubert, or you might hear like a nice little Chopin, or even some Bach. It's just something that's just like a nice, lovely ending in contrast to something that's very bombastic on the piano. And I was like, I'm going to go to that route because that's the kind of encore that I'm used to as somebody who plays piano and listening to piano music. Also, I was just, again, intimidated. It's like, what can't Tim do? I don't know. Like, in a way, it was just giving me too much to think about. Whereas, like, if I had something that's kind of lovely and just ends and leaves you like happy and comforted at the end, I thought that might be more an appropriate encore. Now, that being said, Tim is a badass. And so I was like, well, what is a song that can kind of, showcase that musicality? And I was thinking specifically of continuous variation forms. So we think traditionally that would be like Pachelbel's canon. I think that Handel did one in G. And the idea is that you start with a very simple progression, and then it gets more and more virtuosic toward the end. But I thought it could still kind of have that nice, like, again, amuse-bouche quality. And then I thought of the time where George Harrison was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And as a tribute to George Harrison, they played When My Guitar Gently Weeps. And what was phenomenal about that performance, besides that every single rock god was on stage, was that unassumingly Prince did this amazing guitar solo that just like is incredible. If any of you guys want to Google like When My Guitar Gently Weeps, Prince, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you'll notice that the guitarist faces online are increasingly in shock because not only was Prince just nailing the solo, but also you can tell they were living in the moment, knowing that this solo was so historic. And so you have this very basic chord progression that Prince solos over. So again, you have that repetitive variation feel. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can kind of take a fantasy of that solo and work it for alto saxophone. And maybe that might be challenging enough. It's not challenging enough. I did have a saxophonist friend who said, thank you for contributing something to our repertoire that's not impossible to play. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. At the same time, I'm very proud of this piece because again, there's just something that's beautiful to it, but also like honors the purple one, but also can be played by anybody. And it's very universal that way.
Yeah, I also love that about the piece. I think that saxophone players are so technically capable on their instrument, and sometimes we forget that the audience shows up to be moved and to be pretty, to hear pretty things. And I try always to accommodate that because I want my audience to like really feel whatever they need to feel in their hearts. And I feel like Lilac Tears really captures that. Like there's so much depth of emotion that you can feel with that piece. And sometimes if you're having a bad day, maybe you need to be a little angry. You can kind of feel the angry parts of it when you want to feel like a little bit, a cry. There's the moments where you can cry. So it gives you a lot to really feel what's inside. And I really appreciate that about the piece.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we take a listen to it?
A few moments later.
Yeah.
That was nice. I love it. I felt like it was very soulful, and I loved the little pauses in between, like the lifts that I got in between those phrases that I think you just understood. That's kind of what I was going for. Jason, I love the setup at the beginning. Like, I think you got that Chopin prelude type of quality. You know what I'm talking about? Like the placid, like the G major one, where you
Yeah.
just that perfect, like misty on the lake idea. And then you like when Andrew came in, like, y'all, that was such a treat. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, the way Jason sets it up, like when I first started learning the piece, I've listened to Tim's recording and I was kind of taking that approach. And then when Jason sets it up for the first time, like, oh, this is different. I need to play it like the way Jason's playing it. And it just helped kind of bring a little bit of clarity to the piece. I don't know why my camera's not turning back on, but that's okay.
Well, thank you, Jason. Thank you again, the two of you, where it's again, I love that this is a different interpretation of the same piece. And I
Hmm.
feel like even though we just met on the barge in Barge Music in Brooklyn, like I feel like you guys get it. Like you get the piece and I think you get me. So this is wonderful, honestly. This is so great.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, with playing with Jason, I as a saxophonist in school, we learned to play with pianists, but with Jason, there's like a chemistry there that we have, and I feel like it really allows us to explore what a lot of musicians don't do, which is let the pianist sort of be themselves. When we do chamber music, we're always kind of accompanied, and Jason just has so much life in the way that he plays, and so it just lets me kind of sit back and have fun while doing all of these collaborations. And I think this piece, like he taught me a lot about playing this piece.
Well, I'm just gonna say happy birthday to me indeed, because I could use all these compliments first thing in the morning.
No, like honestly,
Yeah.
be proud of yourself. Also, happy birthday and have a happy birthday week because you
Thank
deserve it. But again, so for anybody, you should listen to the whole album because I heard it via concert, via live performance, and that energy and musicianship is just so palpable. Like honestly, it was like one of the best concerts I like heard like that quarter. It was really wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you
you.
so much. And again, thank you for making the trek. But at the time I didn't know that you lived in New York. So when you showed up, I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe that you're here right now.
Guys. Yeah, I live in New York now, in the Bronx. So, but yeah, it was great. It was a great concert.
We
Great
we've
memory.
Thank
been
you.
we've been telling everyone that we're BFFs with you on Instagram. So
Good. So it is like Instagram official. We are BFFs.
yay!
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, again, thank you so much for taking the time for writing this awesome piece. The album is on pre-order right now on our website, duohalo.com, and it will be dropping officially on December 2nd. So please pick up a copy. We're really excited about it.
Awesome. Thank
All
you
right,
guys.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.